Sounds good. Thank you, Kaylin. Good day, everyone. My name is Crystal McDonald, and I am the Director of Account Management and Workforce Development here at the DC Sustainable Energy Utility, also known as DCSEU. Thank you for joining this information session for the Train Green SEICBP, otherwise known as the Sustainable Infrastructure and Capacity Building Program session. Before we get started with our agenda, I invite Kaylin back to review webinar logistics. Kaylin?
All right, I'm back again. So just a reminder, we're going to run through this webinar in its entirety. After the presentation, the staff here will address any questions that you have via the chat. We also have some guests from DSLBD, and if you have any questions for them, they'll be able to address those questions as well. And if you have any issues with the chat or technical difficulties during the presentation, please do remember that we are recording and we'll send this out afterwards. But do try out to use the chat or just locate the chat. As you can see, here's the chat button, and that's where you type in right there. And going forward, when we get to the question section, you'll have the ability to actually voice your questions, and we'll do this pretty orderly. You'll just raise your hand using the raise your hand function there, and I'll call your name, and you'll come off mute and ask your question, and then the program team will take care of you. All right, and I'm going to pass it back to you, Crystal.
Thank you, Kaylin. So here's our agenda for the day. We have why Train Green, Train Green program eligibility and updates, Train Green registration process, and we've invited our colleagues at the Department of Small and Local Business Development to share some ideas and information with you. And then, of course, we'll follow up with our workforce opportunities and some of the current requests for qualifications that we have now. And we will then wrap up the session with questions and answers. Hopefully we will have time to address them all. But today's session is designed to inform and inspire you, and hopefully to move you to take action and be a part of the green workforce and the clean energy workforce here in Washington, D.C. So we have a lot of information to cover, and again, we hope it does you well. Thank you. Next slide, Kaylin. So about the DCSEU, who are we? Let me just start by celebrating us, and then you can see on this slide what our contract is with the District of Columbia. But this year, the DCSEU marked 2 milestones. First, this is the 10th anniversary of our establishment that was enabled by the Clean and Affordable Energy Act of 2008. And secondly, it's the completion of our most recent 5-year contract with the District Department of Energy and Environment. We help residences and businesses and institutions use less energy and save money through energy efficiency and our renewable energy programs. Our current goals include energy savings for both gas and electric, a reduction in greenhouse gases, otherwise known as GHG. We also have a goal towards our low-income spending on single-family and multifamily housing, and then incentivizing solar with energy efficiency projects along with deep energy retrofits. And the 2 goals that drive the purpose of today's sessions include the green jobs and local economic development. So I will invite Mark Bryan, the Community Impact Manager, to discuss a little bit more about Train Green and explain that program.
Thank you, Crystal. Welcome, folks. We're excited that you're here. I see some folks that I've recognized from the program prior, as well as some new folks to the table. So we are going to take just a little bit of time to provide some background on Train Green and how it came to be, and then I will get into more detail about what's coming up and what are the new program updates. Next slide, please. So Train Green, the formal name for Train Green is the Sustainable Energy Infrastructure Capacity Building Pipeline Program. It was created back in 2018 as part of the Clean Energy Omnibus Amendment, and really set the stage for a lot of action for energy and climate here in the district. District had foresight to create this program in order to provide both funding and clear programmatic ways for district businesses, specifically district CBEs, certified business enterprises, CBE eligible firms, as well as district residents, to be able to get the skills and credentials and certifications needed to assist building owners in complying and fulfilling their obligations under the Clean Energy Omnibus Bill. We'll talk a little bit more about what parts of that are particularly relevant to Train Green and the opportunities here, but we are the official support for the district contracting community to help meet these goals. We've got lots of programs and ways to get there. We are on the third year of this program. This is actually the first year of our new 5-year contract. So it's the third year of the program, but the first of 5 years of full programmatic funding, and we've been building the program up to meet the need and capacity that we hope to deliver over the next few years. Next slide, please. I want to talk a little bit about the benefits of the program, why participate, particularly for those who are new or just tuning in. Other than, of course, providing best-in-class free certifications for district individuals, we have a few main sort of use cases that we see as the benefits for Train Green. First and foremost, of course, targeting CBEs as well as CBE-eligible firms, or district-based businesses, and contractors that enable them to really grow their staff capacity at no cost to meet the growing demand from building owners for services around benchmarking, retrofits, auditing, etc. This program also enables building owners themselves to train their internal staff to incorporate new processes around energy efficiency into their normal maintenance routines. I can tell you from my own experience in helping to manage a multifamily building, there are many buildings in this town where energy efficiency is not part of the routine practice, and so the courses that we provide can enable existing building staff to learn new skills and implement those processes to help meet building owners' needs and requirements. Of course, we have individuals themselves can learn new skills and gain certifications to access those high-paying jobs, don't have to be part of a company in order to participate, and we have new pathways to get you into a clean energy career. Of course, pathways and of course levels as well. We'll talk about that a little bit further to really give some guidance for folks that are new to the industry. Next slide, please. I wanted to spend just a couple minutes talking about some of the policies that are going to be really driving market opportunity here in the district over the next few years. I know some of our attendees are already quite familiar with district benchmarking requirements and building energy performance standards, but it's still new to lots of folks both inside the district and outside of the district. So I wanted to point out these two sort of landmark pieces of legislation that were updated and enacted in Clean Energy Omnibus Bill. Benchmarking requirements had previously been at 50,000 square feet, so private buildings and city buildings, 50,000 square feet and up. That's dropping to 25,000 square feet and up starting actually last CY 2021. And in calendar year 2024, that drops to 10,000 square feet. So you have literally hundreds of buildings that haven't had to comply before that will now be benchmarking and haven't done it before and will probably need assistance and services, particularly in the area of third-party data verification. Alongside that policy, benchmarking has been in place for over a decade in DC. 2018 added building energy performance standards, which were the first BEP standards in the country. And it's saying, okay, so now you've been benchmarking starting in 2021, which is pushed back to 2022 for some buildings because of COVID. You now have to meet a performance standard, and that performance standard is largely based on Energy Star score, and it's determined by local median scores. So half of all categories, all types of buildings in the district that meet these various sizes will have to comply over time. So you're literally seeing potentially hundreds of millions of dollars of new demand for services from buildings of all sizes and types in the district over the foreseeable future. You can see that the BEP cycle for private buildings starts in 2027, and the BEP cycle for 10,000 square foot above buildings starts in 2033. So lots of opportunity. The impact that we're delivering, this is the third year. I'd like to sort of really highlight the numbers here. We had 111 registrants last year. We more than doubled that to 217 for this year. 67 of those were district residents, but 136 of those, over half of them, were associated with a CBE or CBE eligible firm. So this is just going to show that we're really supporting the broader DMV area that's working on district buildings. Next slide, please. So we're going to start getting into some of the details about how the program has evolved and updates. So this may be new content for some of our current participants. Next slide. Just going to go over eligibility for the program. So if of course, there is preference for district CBEs or CBE eligible firms. So if you are a district resident working at one of these firms, you have priority and of course can be registered. If you don't, as I'll just say, if you don't meet any of these three tiers, then you won't be eligible for registration into the program. We've had applications as far as San Francisco and Chicago. So people are really learning about this program and trying to participate from all around. But if you don't meet the eligibility, you will not be able to register for the program. So for tier 2, district residents working outside of the district or non-residents working for CBE eligible firms. And then finally, tier 3, non-residents and businesses in the greater DMV area. And so while this also serves as our program entry criteria, it's also our prioritization criteria for course registrations. Once we get to that stage, we'll talk about that a little bit further. But as you can see here, our audience is also fairly broad and really touches most segments within the building industry. Next slide. I mentioned this before. We have new course levels: introductory, basic, intermediate courses, and advanced courses, in order to provide some guidance and some pathways, and really help folks specialize in a number of the different skill sets that district contractors are going to need. District building owners will be demanding in the foreseeable future to comply with those two laws we mentioned earlier. We have pathways for specialization. They won't be siloed. Students will be able to take courses from different pathways, but we wanted to give guidance, particularly for those who are looking for the advanced courses, as the advanced level courses have prerequisites that can be found on the basic and intermediate levels. And new this year, we'll be giving the link in just a little while, a new process for registering for the program, and which will be in place for the next 5 years and hopefully longer. Next slide, please. The levels here are really to help set expectations for students. It's also a way for us to get a sense of where people are going, how they're doing in their performance along these pathways, and frankly, what they qualify for registration. Introductory courses, we have a range of folks coming in. We want to be able to get people the fundamental knowledge that they'll need, frankly, to succeed in the courses, particularly when there's exams involved. So we want to have clear guidance and clear foundational coursework for folks to get their foot in the door, having no previous background. Basic and intermediate courses, some of these courses may have prerequisites, some of them might not, but generally speaking require some kind of previous knowledge or work experience. in some cases, a few years of work experience in order to qualify for a specific credential or certification. I will also note we are providing certificates of completion for all of our courses in the coming year. So even if there isn't a formal tests and credential or certification awarded, you will get that certificate of completion for participating in all of the courses and attending all the courses. And then finally, advanced courses where you are able to, especially for mid-career or advanced career professionals, jump right in and add a new skill set or new certification or credential that will be able to provide new services to customers in the area. Next slide, please. We're really proud of the new pathways that we have here. Clearly, there's going to be some overlap in the area of content, but we're really trying to reach a broad range of contracting professionals. We know energy efficiency is going to be sort of dominant in terms of coursework and interest from our students, but we want to make sure that all the various aspects of the built environment are covered, such as sustainability and health. We want to provide more hands-on training opportunities for those in building operations and HVAC, because we know that there are definitely different skill sets within each of these different pathways, some of them overlapping and some of them are not. Some of the more technical courses will be found in building operations and HVAC, as demand continues to rise for new HVAC technologies that are coming into the city. Finally, we have a pathway for renewables and solar. Solar, of course, being the dominant renewable here in the district. DCSEU is a participant in the Solar for All program, and we have other supportive of other programs. Connecting energy efficiency and solar is also a big focus of ours, particularly for affordable housing. So in many ways, some of these pathways fit together, but are independent skill sets. Next slide, please. So what do these pathways look like in practice? We are doing what we think of as a soft launch now. So this is not all of these courses are available now. We're working to bring on the instructors, in some cases find new instructors for new courses that haven't necessarily been developed yet. At some point, we hope to make this all available, but for now, most of the introductory courses and many of the basic courses and some of the advanced courses will be available for registration coming shortly. These are sample course titles, but give you a really strong sense of what those pathways might look like. You can see many of the courses in the advanced section really build on passing the existing credentials in the basic section. Next slide, please. So we're really excited to really launch the registration process. This is going to be in place. It's new for this year and will be in place for the next 5 years and beyond. Next slide, please. Previously, we just had registrants register for specific courses and we would vet them at that point. All registrants will now register first through the program and will be assigned a code that they will be able to use for course registration. So everybody who registers for a course that will be considered will have a code, which we will double check, of course. And we have a new form, relatively easy form to fill out, to complete, to capture all that information that we need for the vetting process. We hope to review those and get them back to you within 5 business days or less, so that folks can quickly access and register for courses as they become available. And this, of course, is the vetting process. So if you have that tiered eligibility, it will be checked here. And once you get that code, you know that you are eligible to participate in the program. Next slide, please. We have an excellent slide here that really walks you through the process. I won't go into all of the details here because we'll be sharing the slides and make this deck available after the presentation here. But folks will be able to, from this very event, click on a link and go ahead and register that form. Please be sure to provide accurate information. We will likely be running this process every year to ensure that accurate information is entered into the system and verified on a yearly basis. Once we do, we'll determine your program eligibility and get you that code. From there, we will have course selection that's available. We highly encourage folks to check out the pathways and do some career planning, particularly for those who are new to the career and new to the industry. Of course, we're here for questions. If folks have questions, please feel free to reach out and ask about pathways and training opportunities, but please also pay attention to the course prerequisites, because we will be declining registrations where we see folks do not meet the prerequisites. And then the other factor is really sort of time to complete the course. Some of these courses are 8 hours long. Some of these courses are 74 hours long. So we want to be sure that everybody is registering and is able to actually participate and complete it. We are paying a lot more attention this year to completion rates and making sure that people who completed it get their certificates of completion or credentials. Then finally, once courses go live, we'll have you register for that course and approve it. Everything will be virtual for 22. So once that course has been approved, you'll be notified, and then we will send you the Zoom information. Next slide. So we will pop that link into the chat window, but it is already live. We've already got our first registrant yesterday. We hope to launch course registration in February and get some of those course titles out to folks soon. The best way to get a heads up on those courses being launched is, of course, the newsletter, the Trade Ally newsletter, which we can provide a link to later on. But without further ado, I would like to introduce Kate from our colleagues at DSLBD to talk about CBE Green and all the services and opportunities DSLBD provides for becoming a CBE and getting involved in district business and contracting.
Mark, thank you so much. And for everyone on the line, I apologize. It does not look like I can turn my camera on, but hopefully I'll have an opportunity to meet you in the future. We're going to go ahead and go to the next slide. Just to tell you a little bit about who I am, and then two of my partners from our agency on this project, and then we'll get into a lot about what DSLBD does and what the project is. Quintina and Keith are not able to join me today, but I am the program manager for DSLBD's Innovation and Equitable Development Division. So DSLBD overall supports all small and local businesses that are here in the district through several different programs. Most of my programs are grant training and other programs aimed at removing barriers to entrepreneurship. Quintina and Keith come from other divisions of the agency. Quintina specifically works with certified business enterprises, and these are businesses that are registered as being local here in the district to give them preference points on DC-based contracts. Quintina works with those businesses to help support getting them matched to opportunities. And Keith Howard is part of our DC Procurement Technical Assistance Center. So if you're familiar with the world of procurement, whether it's at the federal, state, or local level, there are PTACs all across the country funded out of the Department of Defense, and they work with business owners to help them be better be able to achieve contracts and better be able to sorry, I'm getting the word lost there to better be able to perform on those contracts as well. So this is the full team who is working on a program that we are continuing to roll out called CBE Green, which is very much attached to Train Green. Let's go ahead and go to that next slide. So I'm going to tell you who is DSLBD, how we support DC businesses, and if you are here as a resident who is looking at training, this is how we might support businesses that you might work for, and a little bit about the initiative that we're rolling out called CBE Green, the Sustainable Energy Edition. So we can go to that next slide. So DSLBD, once again, we are a DC government agency. We are incredibly happy to be partnering with both the DCSEU and the Department of Energy Environment on what we are now terming CBE Green. But through that, it's all about how are we making sure we're highlighting these wonderful opportunities that are coming through the DCSEU, opportunities for training and also opportunities for contracts. Overall, we support any type of DC-based business, and that includes the Certified Business Enterprise Program and the PPPAC, but that also includes DC Main Streets, which work with commercial corridor businesses, and several programs within my division, which support returning citizens, makers, anyone who is seeking access to capital. But let's go ahead and go to that next slide. So if you are here as a business and you aren't a CBE, but you aren't sure if you want to become a CBE, a CBE is a DC-based business that is certified that they are truly local. This link here can help you get that information about how to become certified. And the benefits of becoming certified are quite a bit. So if you are a CBE-eligible business, if you become a CBE, which is free to do, it's just some paperwork, then you get preference points on DC government contracts. So last year, district government spent $1 billion with local companies that were CBE certified. And there are about 2,000 businesses that are CBE certified. And that $1 billion comes through because every agency has to spend about half of their procurement budget with CBEs, and every prime contractor has to spend at least 35% of their total contract dollars with CBEs. So if you are potentially a CBE eligible business or you want to learn more, I'll have some contact information about how to reach out, or you can go to our website and start looking around on the information about how to get certified. Let's go ahead and go to that next slide. So this slide is from Quintina, who is not here today. I mentioned that she works with those CBEs to help connect them. So her division, which is called the Business Opportunities Division, works directly with CBEs. They do matchmaking. So they will hold workshops in which either prime companies or DC agencies are looking to meet more CBEs. And so they'll have workshops in which they meet many CBEs. There are a lot of trainings that are CBE specific. They also go to conferences and they'll talk one-on-one with CBEs about different issues that they're having. And so that's all about how can bigger primes who are on a contract connect with subprimes? How can people connect with the District of Columbia agencies and learn more about them? And this also includes public-private development projects, which can be many different types of projects, but often include new development buildings. Let's go ahead and go to that next slide. So this is the logo for the CBE program. If you are looking around at other people's websites, you might see that they have that CBE logo. And if you become CBE certified, then you can have that logo too. And it means a lot, both in terms of our local pride for our local businesses, but also real opportunities for local businesses. Let's go ahead and go to that next slide. So if you do want to learn a little bit more about how to become certified, there is an online application. You may have heard in the past that it was a very difficult application. They have streamlined it. It is now 8 steps that can approve your application in 45 business days. So you can go through a wizard to help you realize what are the different parts of the CBE program that you might be able to take advantage of. There are different subcategories that you might qualify for, and you can get additional help from the CBE certification team. So if you're looking at the CBE application and you're finding it stressful or you have questions, the team that does all the certification meets with people a lot of different ways. You can either do a one-on-one meeting with them, or you can just call us and they will connect you over there. Let's go ahead and go to the next slide. And so here's another program. These were Keith's slides. Keith from our Procurement Technical Assistance Center. So if you are a DC-based business, you can become a PTAC client as well. And so you don't have to be a CBE to become a PTAC client, but if you are a CBE, you're definitely going to be eligible to be a PTAC client. What the Procurement Technical Assistance Center does is they work one-on-one with businesses to make sure that everything that they've done, both in their business setup, but also their marketing materials, is very well positioned towards the type of opportunities that they want to have. They also offer a lot of specific trainings that are all about the world of contracting procurement. And if you're new to it, or if you've even been in it for a while, the world of contracting procurement has a lot of very specific terminology, processes, and rules. And so the PTAC is there to be helpful to help you navigate that and help you build your business. If you are interested in becoming a PTAC client, there is a link here, but we'll give you some contact information at the end. You can just reach out and ask us what these links are. You can sign up to become a DC PTAC client on our website. Let's go ahead and go to the next slide. So I mentioned other support. So those 2 programs, Business Opportunities with Quintina and DC PTAC with Keith, are some of the best supports for businesses that are looking to get into procurement. But no matter what your business is, if you are here in DC seeking to locate in DC or seeking to start a new business in DC, the Department of Small and Local Business Development wants to help you. And so one of the first easiest ways, if you're trying to find resources or get connected to things, my team, the Innovation and Equitable Development Division, does one-on-one technical assistance calls for 30 minutes on any topic related to your business. That top link, you can sign in with any one of my staff. They have some specialties, but they can talk with you about anything. And in that call, we'll give you all the information that we know. We'll help you ideate about different things. And then we will get you a list of resources and contacts for where you can go next to go deeper in your business journey. We're not currently at the MLK Library. We're going to wait for the public health advisories to tell us it's okay to be back in person, but we hope soon that we'll be back at the MLK Library in downtown DC every Wednesday. We previously were there every Wednesday, and people could just drop in or schedule a technical assistance meeting in person. And the last thing I'll mention is that if you are a DC-based business, you might need access to capital, financing in different ways. And there are a number of different ways that DSLBD can support you in accessing the capital that you need. One of the first and easiest ones for any stage business is the DC Kiva Hub that is crowdfunding of up to $15,000 for zero fee, zero interest dollars. And that's why we really like to tell people about that. No fees and no interest on a loan is really good loan terms. But we also work with all of the local area CDFIs. They look at things like gap financing, first financing, lines of credit. There are a lot of products, financial products, that are really useful to businesses, particularly as they're getting into contracts and subcontracts. So that's some of the other support, but I just want to say how appreciative we are of being able to highlight this opportunity to be able to get into the marketplace related to sustainable energy. The District of Columbia has gone light years ahead of a lot of other jurisdictions, and it's going to be great for climate overall here in the district, but it's also going to be great for opportunities for both jobs as well as contracts. And so we really appreciate the support in this partnership, and just letting you know, we want to connect. So our email address for my team, and we can get you connected to anybody else, is inno.ed@dc.gov. Again, that is inno.ed@dc.gov. And there are a couple of different ways that you'll be able to sign up to get more information as we look to continue to roll out more services under CBE Green. Thank you so much. And I think I'm passing it back over to DCSEU.
Yep. Rick, are you there?
Yep. Sorry,
All
having an
right.
issue coming off mute. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Rick Flurry. I'm the DCSU Trades Manager. I'm going to turn my screen on here for a second. And I'm going to briefly touch on some existing contracting opportunities that the DCSU has on the street and is actively soliciting for vendors and contractors to submit their interest in becoming a potential service provider in each of the categories that we're looking for. Next slide, please. We currently have 6 attachments referenced here, or you could view them as functional categories that we are soliciting various forms of work or services to be provided to district residents and businesses for fiscal year 22. Attachments A and B primarily are looking for skills based around general contractors, electricians, HVAC, mechanical, etc., for the installation of energy efficiency technology that certain clientele that we work with will need to have within their programs and services. In attachments A and B, the estimated amount of funds that we will be looking to provide work for totals between the 2 attachments of over $4.5 million for just fiscal year 22. Attachment C, we are looking at providing or having a service provider work with us in providing what's called energy kits, which are boxes that we deliver to certain residential customers, which includes LED lighting, power strips, faucet areas, etc. Attachment D, we are looking at doing a what's called a deep energy retrofit type effort around energy auditing, specifically ASHRAE level 2 auditing. So if you are a professional engineer, a certified energy manager, BPI multifamily, qualified and certified and such, please take a look at attachment D and the auditing service. We are looking at providing ASHRAE level 2 auditing services to approximately 60 to 100 multifamily buildings as part of our retrofit accelerator work within the District of Columbia, and that is just for fiscal year 22. Attachments E and F are mainly geared towards the single family market, where we do an effort that will require around 20 to 30 qualified single-family homes, and looking at taking the in converting them from a gas-fired system to an electrification type system via heat pumps and such. So the skill sets that we'll be looking for in that are certainly electricians, HVAC, energy auditor, and certainly the general contractor mode. And I just want to reemphasize that these are currently the 6 functional categories that we have. We are always adding functional categories as need arises in providing services to district residents and businesses. However, I want to reiterate that this is kind of the back end piece of the puzzle, as Mark and Kate have mentioned in the process. The skill sets that you learn through the training efforts that Train Green provides, and the support that DSLBD can provide to you in supporting the local efforts, drives the actual results of being able to, sign up and quite frankly work with us in these functional categories to help expand or develop your business and your business needs. Next slide, please. If you are currently a vendor or a contractor that meets some of the criteria mentioned above in the previous slide, one way to get in touch with us to submit a bid is to go to our DCSEU portal. And what I would recommend is reviewing the the RFQ requirements and responses first. Then the process would be to go through and request a login. If you're an existing person that's submitted an RFQ response in the past and you've forgotten your password, feel free to reach out to us. We can help reset that. The reason why I want to emphasize on the response piece to make sure you're comprehensive in your submissions is that responses that are not in the required formats that we're looking for, or not submitted completely, may be disqualified in their submittal to qualify for these functional categories. Next slide, please. And I'm going to turn this back over to, is it Crystal or Mark?
I'll cover this one.
Okay.
Thanks, Rick. One other program that we really want to make folks aware of is the Workforce Development Program. It's our externship program that runs twice a year, where we connect district residents, and this one is only available to district residents, with 6 months green externships. These are paid externships, 40 hours a week, where they can learn new careers, new skills, get that on-the-job experience that's so critical for folks that are starting out in their careers. But the hosts and mentors as well get a hopefully well-qualified employee that has and is undergoing level of training that's paid to work at least 3 to 6 months during the externship program. So for small businesses that are looking to hire qualified candidates, it's a really great opportunity. We actually work directly with multiple staffing agencies to do background checks and drug screens on all of our candidates, and our mentors interview 3 different candidates and choose from those candidates. So it's a thorough process. We find great candidates from all over the district, all walks of life, ages and educational levels, experience levels, to meet those needs. I think we have 27 for the cohort that just launched in this past January, and we'll be launching another cohort in June. Next slide, please. So earlier I mentioned the newsletter. It's a link there to get onto our contractor updates. Train Green and many other contracting opportunities can be found in our newsletter. We don't generally spam people's inboxes. We communicate when we have something important. So if you're not on that list, I recommend clicking that link and signing up. If you have a question, please feel free to ask it. If it comes to you after this session, we'll be taking questions in just a minute, but you could always find us at traingreen@dcseu.com. And lastly, if you want to learn more about working with us, we encourage you to use the Calendly link to set up a meeting with Rick directly. He loves meeting with people, and he's lots of experience, can provide a lot of advice to folks who are looking to get engaged either in the industry or with DCSEU directly. And then lastly, I'm going to hit send, and I just dropped the program registration link for Train Green into the chat window as well. So that concludes the formal portion of the presentation. We'll move on to questions. If you want to raise your hand, we can have you actually ask your question, or we can take it in the chat window. I did see a question about the deck. We will be providing the deck to attendees and posting it on the web along with this recording.
Yes, yes. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Kate. Thank you, Rick and Crystal. It's a great presentation for you all today. And thank you all for showing up today, coming out and listening to our offer. So again, I'm gonna repeat just what Mark said here. You know, if you want to voice your question, please do raise your hand. There's a little raise your hand button. I don't know if I'm in the right area of the slide because I've got you guys up in front of the slide. So, but if you raise your hands up, and I'll call on you. But if you want to write your questions in the chat, feel free to write it in the chat as well. But if there are no questions, we won't keep you here by force. All right.
Will certifications be available for past participants? Yes, absolutely. You know, in some cases, you need, you know, to have completed previous courses in order to be able to register for the current courses. So yes, past participants are certainly eligible. Great question.
Then our contender has opportunity for QA services. And Rick, I feel like that's right up your alley.
Yes, there is opportunity for QA services. Kaylin, could you go back a couple of slides?
Sure can.
Or maybe it's more, yep, right there. Attachment is really under attachment E and F, and E is the install portion, and F is really taking a look at the inspection services. So yes, if you're looking at trying to provide single family inspection services, please refer to attachment E and F. There is going to be another functional category added that's going to be non single family related, but it's not ready to be posted yet. So I would say, as Mark mentioned, and thank you, Mark, for mentioning that, sign up for not only the contractor updates, but I would also recommend setting up a specific time on my Calendly link as well, and we can chat one-on-one. But I would say within the next 60 days or so, we'll be adding a 7th functional category for QA related services. But yeah, it's kind of a slight teaser to sign up for one, and to part of reinforcing that we constantly look to the local market and supporting our local, you know, businesses and contractors to giving everyone that fair shot and getting into doing the work that we want. We like working with local folks and keeping the money local in that sense. And in addition to that training opportunity, I've always lived in a proof is in the pudding. You know, if you get the certification, where does the work lie? Well, this is one example to where those certifications can turn into what I call hard benefit to your career paths.
Perfect. And I'd just like to add on to that this presentation, in that slide that we were just on, that Rick was referencing, those little red titles are all links to the statements of work for each attachment. So when you get this, you can click right into that, right into those links of the attachment of interest and find the correct SOW. And thank you, Akintunde, for your question. And Nicole has another question. Can business owners also participate in workforce development training? I'll let you take that, Rick. Not Rick, Mark, I'm sorry.
So yes, absolutely. And we do have some companies that are both mentors and sending their staff for Train Green. So there are two separate programs and aren't necessarily linked, and you can participate in both of them.
All right. Thank you, Nicole, for your question. And apologies if I pronounce your name incorrectly, and you can always come off mute and get me together so I can get it right. But Sado has a question, and it is, can a CBE register for more than one training?
So the company can have staff register for as many trainings as, if they qualify as you want. I think we've had a number of companies that have actually sent groups of their staff through different courses at once. So the short answer is yes. Individuals can register for more than one course. This year, we'll be paying a lot more attention to prerequisites and experience level, so that we ensure that folks are registering for courses where they're actually able to participate and complete.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Mark, and thank you for your question. Natarajan has a question. Again, apologies if I messed up your name. Will you be offering course content to meet LEED GA and APVD&C compliance requirements?
So where the Train Green program really isn't designed for credential maintenance, is my first answer. I would say, even though it's not necessarily designed that way, some of these courses could easily be self-reported for credential maintenance. So while it isn't intended that way, now I will say this: anything that, because I know it from LEED standards, anything that is LEED exam prep does not count toward credential maintenance. So if you have your LEED GA, LEED BD&C exam prep doesn't count for CEUs. However, if you were to take a BPI course, that might, you can always just try self-reporting and using that process.
All right. Thanks, Mark. And Nicole has another question. Will green infrastructure opportunities, some examples are stormwater, sediment erosion, be available at some point?
Probably not through us. Probably not through us. I think the DC Infrastructure Academy might be the place for that. I see Crystal's popping on. She may have a better sense of where folks could go for that kind of opportunity.
Right. We may be able to collaborate with some of our institutional and commercial partners in the future regarding that. I think the University of the District of Columbia is running a program along with DC Water. There are some other green infrastructure programs that we may be able to point you with until we establish a formal connection to those programs.
All right. Thank you both, Mark and Crystal, and thank you, Nicole, again for your question. All right, we've gotten to the end of the question. No one's been brave enough to ask a vocal question, but it's okay. And but if you have any more questions, you can write them in the chat, or you can, again, raise your hand. I'm gonna do a little example raise so you can see my hand going up and down there. And I'll call on you, and you can just come off mute. But if I know we have 10 more minutes of scheduled time, but I do want to respect everybody's time. If there are no more questions, I'll give us a couple more minutes. Oh, we got one. Indra, as companies receive their certifications, will there be a list available for review and consideration for potential prospective clients?
So is this
Indra,
a CBE certification? Is this a CBE related question?
Maybe
Yes.
if you're looking for business opportunities, we can share the DCSEU business opportunities, but DSLBD also has some matchmaking opportunities, if that's the question you're asking.
And Indra, if you could clarify a little bit more in chat for...
No, for users of service.
So I can say, and Indra, let me know if this is answering your question. We have not rolled out everything that DSLBD will be doing under CBE Green. I think one of our intentions, and I just want to make sure I put it as intention because we have to make sure we can get all the pieces in place for it, is to be able to collect information about CBEs who want to raise their hand and say they are participating in CBE Green, and see if we can build out public profiles of the things that they're doing in this space. So that might get there. I think that's going to be very specific to some of the types of contracting opportunities that you saw Rick talking about. And I don't know that it will cover a broader range of things that businesses are doing, because I think there's a lot there's a lot that's happening in this space, and then there's lots of stuff in the sort of the green infrastructure that people are doing beyond it. But that is something that we are exploring. Did that answer your question?
And Indra, if if you feel free to clarify. Okay, for property owners, there we go. But for property owners and homeowners who are looking to address sustainability. So,
It's where can property owners and homeowners find prospective providers? So I know that the Building Innovation Hub has, I think, has a directory. I believe at some point the DC Pace Hub actually had a fairly good providers service directory as well. I don't believe that we at the DCU have a providers directory. We had one at one point and stopped doing that. But I know that there's also a tool, I believe it's through DSLBD, Kate can correct me if I'm wrong, where people can search CBEs by category and type to find CBEs that are capable of delivering specific services.
I was just typing that in the chat. I'm going to go pull the link while I explain it. So DSLBD has a database of about 2,000 DC businesses that have registered as certified here in the district. And anyone can search that public database. I'm going to find that. You have to search it by something called NIGP code. If you are familiar with NICS codes, then you might be familiar with NIGP codes. There is a lookup function within it so that you can find that. And if you are trying to find DC-based companies and CBEs and having troubles with the search portal, you can reach out to DSLBD. It's not necessarily formatted Indra in the space that that you're talking about, and I think that's why we want to develop out something that has something a little bit more specific to this content area. But I'm going to pull that link for you right now. But if you ever want to have more information about how to search the CBE database, please let me know.
all right, and Kate just dropped you. Thank you for answering that question and dropping that link in the chat. It is a very invaluable resource. As somebody who has it favorited in my favorites, it's a very invaluable resource. But again, if there are any more questions, feel free. We've got about 6 more minutes. Feel free to drop them in the chat, or feel free to raise your hand and ask your question via voice. I'll give you guys a little bit more time if there are any more. And in the meantime, so there's not dead space, I will thank everybody again for coming out, for our partners at DSLBD, Crystal, Rick, and Mark, and new team member Yolanda. So I'm going to skirt over to that thank you slide. And if you guys have any questions, you can email about the program specifically. You can email us at traingreen at dcsu.com, and you can always reach out to directly to our main line, which can be found on our website, or info@dcsu.com, and our customer support team will work to get you in touch with the right people inside the DCSEU. And just another side note, Kate just posted in the chat that feel free to reach out to business.opportunities at dc.gov if you have any interest in learning how the CBE database works, or no.ed at dc.gov for help on navigating the CBE database as well. And thank you all again. And I think we're going to call it a day because there's been no questions in my little stretch there. So I'm going to pass it back. Oh, we've got one. Projects that we have been implementing. Is there a point of contact? This seems like you can have set some time up with Rick to discuss that. That feels appropriate. And I will go back. I don't have this link offhand, so I'll try to copy it really quite fast and see if I can. But let's see. It's calendar. If not, I'll make sure to send it to you directly, because I don't think I'll have the ability to get that in the chat very fast, as fast as I need to. But I have your information. I have your email from your registration. I'll make sure to send it directly to you.
I just put it in the chat.
Thank you, Mark.
No problem.
But again, thank you all. And I'll pass it back to you, Mark, for any last words.
All right. Well, thanks, Kaylin. We appreciate everybody's time. Please do reach out to any of us. And we do want to welcome Yolanda Hayden as our new training coordinator. So for folks who've been in the program before, you may be hopefully meeting and engaging with Yolanda in the near future. Thanks for everyone's time, and we will see you online again soon. Take care.